moms kept the peace and the homestead and the internet hadn't ruined families and morals yet, give me Leave It to Beaver any day of the week. Diane says the big band era. Love the music. Love the way that the women dressed, and it seemed like everyone danced. I agree. I love big band music. Love big band music. All those horns. Just love it. John says the 50s. Hot rods and cruising to the tunes. Just like Happy Days. And as I mentioned, Marcy said the future. So there are some of your picks for some of the eras you would have liked to have lived in. I often think about back in with Gone with the Wind, right before, the start of the Civil War, with the big dresses that they wore. I mean, women obviously had no rights back then. And it must have taken an awful long time to get dressed every day. But what else did they have to do? There wasn't a lot to do back then, right? So you had 3-4 hours to get dressed. That's okay. Then they had to take a nap. Nice ladies took naps. I'll never forget that at the party that they went to, the barbecue they went to. The women had to go off and take a nap. Is that real? Did they really do that? It's a little crazy. Take a nap in the middle of a barbecue. Of course, the men stood around smoking and drinking. We've come a long way, baby. Still got a ways to go. So moving on to today's blog post. How to make every day feel like a vacation. This is what I'm all about. Create a life you don't need a vacation from. I read this quote one time. I don't remember where or who said it, but it really resonated with me. Create a life you don't need a vacation from. Yes, that's it. That really is the goal, isn't it? I believe I've done a good job of this. The picture that I posted is taken in my backyard. I have to say, it's a pretty good picture of me. My cousin Marnie took a bunch of pictures of me when she was here visiting. And I don't know how she makes me look so good in pictures. I look terrible in pictures usually, but wow. I mean, really good picture. And of course, my Tucker's in it too. So, yes, in the background, you will see water. Yes, my backyard is a lagoon off the Barnegat Bay. I wake up to see the light reflecting off the water every morning. It's a great way to start the day. I just sit and watch the subtle waves of the water. Brings me peace. I've always loved being around water, hence my love of boats. There isn't much better to me than being completely surrounded by water. In a boat, safe, being safe. I figured out early on that I was a shore girl. Rivers and lakes just didn't do it for me. It had to be the ocean, and later I learned I prefer the bay. To me, loving where you live is so important in the makeup of your everyday happiness. If you have that, you can usually endure so many other things because you start and end your every day in a place you love. So where's your favorite place in the world? If you can't pick up and move there, is there a place you can get to that mimics what you love? Say you love Hawaii. Can you find a place that closely resembles that? I know it's hard to find something close to Hawaii, but maybe living near the ocean. One of the best parts of me living so close to the ocean is I can get there in 5 minutes. I can run up to watch a sunrise come up over the ocean. I can run back to see the sunset over the bay. I can take my dog for long walks on the beach, except in the summer because they're not allowed then. And again, that view of the water right outside my window. My cousin often jokes that it must be hard to be a hopefulist living where I do. Here's the thing. My husband and I took the steps it took to get us here. And you can too. We have made sacrifices to live here. My husband drives a 3-hour round trip to work every day. I have had to adjust with the jobs I have taken over the years. I left my career in radio so I could live here. It was more important to me to live here. I've had to work jobs I hated in order to afford the life I have here because, it's a little more expensive to live here, as I'm sure you can imagine. Living here became my top priority. I was and am willing to do what it takes to keep this my home. We also have flooding several times a year. We really worry about hurricane season, but it's all worth it to us. Now, the first step is deciding what you want and putting it out in the universe. I've wanted to live at the shore full-time for many years. When my husband and I started getting serious while dating, I told him this was my goal. I asked him if he was on board, and he said yes. I didn't have a specific plan in mind, but life unfolded in a way that brought us here full-time while we were renting a place. Just imagine if I had a plan in place. How much faster it could have happened. But while we were here as a full-time renter, we decided we wanted to purchase a house. Property values were still lower than usual due to the damage wrought by Superstorm Sandy. That was often a joke when I did live on Long Beach Island, is the fastest way to get property values to drop was a good old hurricane. Boy, was that the truth. That storm destroyed our neighborhood. It caused property values to nosedive, but as the neighborhood started to rebuild, values were on the rise. I knew if we wanted to get something we could afford, we had to move quickly. It was right about this time that I picked up my copy of You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. She talked about putting things out to the universe. She said to visualize what you want with as many details as possible. Write it down. Read it over often. I wrote a list of what I was looking for in a house. It's very specific. The house we ended up buying had everything on my list except a fenced-in yard and the price. That was a little bit higher than I had hoped. But we made it work. We're still making it work, knock on wood. We had a fence installed within the first 6 months. Now it's perfect. I believe asking the universe for what you want is powerful. I believe it has so much to do with where I am now geographically and also just where I am in life. I also wrote down what I was looking for in a full-time job and how much money I wanted to make. I didn't overshoot. I was realistic. Then a job opened up in radio. Morning radio. My jam. And it paid what I was looking for. Coincidence? Maybe. Or it could be that my putting it out to the universe created the energy to bring it to me. You can choose to believe that or not. I choose to believe in the energy. And so far, it's worked out well for me. Let's talk about what I'm doing now. I've told the story. I was driving to work one day. I heard the song A Million Dreams by Pink on the radio. It touched me. It inspired me. It made me realize I was so much more than what I was doing. And I thought I was doing a lot. I was pretty proud of my morning radio show. But listening to the words made me realize I could do so much more. Be so much more. And that is when I came up with the idea of starting a blog. I know blogs are so 1995, but it wasn't about making money for me. Not then. It was about putting the wisdom I have learned out into the world. 2 weeks after that, I found out the radio station had decided to let me go. As the news sank in that I was out of a job yet again, I thought maybe I can do something on my own and avoid all this unpleasantness. A friend of mine had been doing podcasts for some time, and I went to him for help and advice. He set me up, and within a month, I was doing this daily podcast to coincide with my daily blog. Hence, the Hopefulist was born. I believe the springboard to all of this was the idea that I wanted to do more. One thought led to another thought, and now I have this business that continues to evolve and help people, I hope. If you would have asked me a year ago if I would be doing something like this, I would have thought you were crazy. This is something I never considered doing. I thought through the years, maybe I can start my own business. When I thought of starting my own business, it wasn't something that looked like this. But I never wanted that type of responsibility. I was okay with, being in the back seat. I was okay with doing what I loved without having all the problems that come along with it, shall we say. But here I am. And like I said, just a year ago, this thought wasn't even in my mind. But this is the power of putting your ideas and desires out in the universe. The big bonus? I've never been happier. So, what is it you really want? What could you do every day that would make you feel happy and satisfied? Where could you live that it wouldn't matter to you if you can't get away for a vacation because you already love where you live? There are many times Joe and I are not able to take vacations. And Joe always reminds me we live in a resort area. That's right, we do. How can you set up your life that you feel like every day is like a vacation or can be like a vacation? Don't think it's possible? Neither did I. Look at me now. I am working harder now than I ever have. I'm doing all kinds of things that take me out of my comfort zone, but it is the most rewarding work I've ever done, and I never regret it, any of it. This is what I want for you. It is Monday, my favorite day after Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, so put some thought into what it is you really want, and then put it out in the universe. If you come up with an actual plan, a more detailed plan than I did, just think how much faster you will get there than I did. All things are possible. You can do it. I believe in you. You are a badass. Now, I want you to go make today your best day yet.
Thank you for listening to The Hopefulist, hosted by Wendy McClure. For more inspiration, please visit Hopefulist.com. Thanks, and we'll see you tomorrow on The Hopefulist.
Another reason I say every day, Ellen, have me on your show is because I'm putting it out into the universe and on Ellen too.